Y'all know I wrote a book, right? It's called Buy a Game and it's free. Click the link down there, you got it.
DreAllDay.com.
This evening we about to talk about leadership and instincts. Leadership and instincts, two separate topics that mesh together very well because you're going to need strong instincts to be a good leader. To be a good leader, you're going to need strong instincts. You're going to have to learn how to trust your instincts. What's up, Aaron? Checking in from New York. Chief from Miami. Shout out to Miami. Shout out to Naples, shout out to Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, Central Florida, Orlando, Disney World, Epcot Center. So we're talking about instincts. How many of you ever had a situation in life where for some reason you didn't know why? What's up, Shimon? Checking in from Brooklyn. What's up to Upper Michigan? Upper Michigan. I never heard that place described as that, but all right, shout out to Upper Michigan. How many of you ever worked with somebody or met somebody and for whatever reason, you don't know why, but for whatever reason, you just did not trust that person. You're like, I just don't trust this person. I don't know why. It's just something about this girl or something about this guy that I just do not trust them. And then maybe you were thinking that, but you didn't say anything yet. What's up there, Atlanta? And then you went around one of your friends, maybe your wife, your girlfriend, one of your better friends, and they told you, they saw that other person. They said, you know what? For some reason, I don't trust that person. I don't trust them. Basically confirming what you were already thinking. But despite your instincts telling you that, despite your friend giving you their best judgment, you went against it. And you said, well, you know what? I don't know. Something in my gut is telling me that something's wrong with this person. Something's not right here. But you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. Despite what my instincts are telling me, I'm going to go spend this money anyway. I'm going to go spend some time with this person anyway. I'm going to get in a business deal with this individual. I'm going to trust this person. And then what happens in the long run, that person ends up doing exactly what your instincts told them they would do. Running off with your money, wasting your time, being a dishonest person, being a person not worthy of trust, being a person who doesn't have integrity or any type of ethics, not a respectful individual. And you just said to yourself, you know what? I should have just listened to my instincts. My instincts were telling me all along. Any of you ever been in that situation before? I'm sure all of you have. We all have, because the only way you are able to obtain good judgment, strong judgment in life is from your experiences of having bad judgment. The only way you learn how to trust your instincts all the time is from the times where you decide not to trust your instincts, make a mistake, and you're like, damn. And then you're like, damn, you know what? I should have trusted my instincts at the beginning, just like my instincts told me to. And all of you know exactly what I'm talking about. And how does that tie into the conversation of leadership? It ties in thusly. If you're going to be a leader, number one thing you need to learn to do is trust your instincts, because a leader has to be able to make decisions. A leader must be a decision maker, not a decision pass off to somebody else, not a him and haw and try to figure out 10 different options, not a let me ask everybody who's in my organization or on my team or in my business what I should do. A leader is the person who makes the decision. The leader can take opinions from everybody. The leader can accept input from other people. The leader observes what's going on. But in the end, the leader is the person who makes the decision. So what does that mean for all of you? It means several things. Number one, if you don't like making decisions, you will never be in a leadership position in your life. Or you're going to get into a leadership position, you're going to be terrible at it, and you will be replaced very quickly, or your organization is going to go down. Your team's going to be terrible. Your business is going to go under. You're going to lose a whole lot of money and a whole lot of people's respect because they see that you're not a person who can make decisions. When somebody accepts or takes a leadership position, they're taking it inherently knowing that you will be expected to make decisions. So if you're watching this right now and you're not a decision maker, you're slow to make decisions, you hem and haw, you got to ask a bunch of people what they think before you decide what to do for yourself, you're not a decision maker, understand this. You got two choices. Number one is that you can be a follower for the rest of your life. Or any organization you join, you will never be the person at the top of that organization. And that does not make you a bad person. And it's important that I stress that doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that you're not cut out to be in a leadership position. And you're never going to be in one if you're not a person who can make decisions. Or B, here's option B, you can decide to start making decisions. You can start to become a decision maker, trusting your instincts, because usually decisions need to be made quickly. Because a decision that you got a whole week to think about it and figure out what best to do, listen, anybody can make that decision, but you got a week to think about it. But when it's a decision where you have to make it like right on the spot, and there are a couple very good options or a couple very bad options, and one has to be chosen, a decision maker must make that decision on the spot. They call it fingertip feel. Fingertip feel is something that is talked about in a book called The 33 Strategies of War by an author by the name of Robert Greene. It's Greene. 33 Strategies of War. He talks about the fingertip feel, learning to trust your instincts. Because in moments of decision, in moments of peril where somebody has to make a decision and everybody's looking around like, all right, are you going to make the decision? Are you going to do it? Are you going to say something? You going to say something? It's kind of like a game of hot potato where everybody's passing the buck on who's going to be the one that steps up and says, listen, this is the situation. This is what we going to do. All right. And everybody follow me. If you want to be that person, number one, you got to learn to trust your instincts. And number two, understand that decision making is the, what's the word I want to say? The key. We'll just use a DJ Khaled phrase now. I guess we give DJ Khaled the credit for this. The major key to leadership is that you must be willing to make decisions. Here's another thing you need to understand about leadership. The goal of leadership, ladies and gentlemen, another one. Here's another key. The goal of leadership, ladies and gentlemen, is to put yourself in a position where everybody is not looking at you to make the decisions all the time. So those two ideas that I just gave you, they're kind of counterintuitive, because I just told you to be a leader, you got to be willing to make decisions. And that's absolutely true. Your goal as a leader, ultimate goal as a leader, is to put yourself in a situation where you have empowered so many other people to be leaders that you don't have to make the decisions anymore. You got a bunch of people around you who make the decisions, and they just inform you like, yo, hey leader, hey Mike, hey Lisa, hey Sherry, hey Anna, this is what we decided to do. That's the way that you want to position yourself as a leader. Now, if you position yourself as a leader as somewhat of a, let's say, a dictator, where you're the type of person who doesn't know how to give up control, because the ultimate goal of leadership is to give up your control to the other people so that they can be leaders. But if you're a dictator and you don't know how to give up control, you might have some issues with trust. You might have an issue with trusting other people with power. You might have an issue with insecurity. You just don't want anybody else to seem like they have some control or some influence over anything other than yourself. If you're that type of person, you're going to be a leader. You can still be a leader, but you're going to be in a bad position as a leader, because what's going to happen is you're always going to have to be there. Your people will always need your presence, your input, your decisions before anything happens. So actually, your leadership actually becomes the thing that's holding you back, because you'll never be able to get away from it, because your people are always going to need you. Your organization will always need you if you don't empower other leaders in your organization. Does everybody understand that? I saw some questions come up as I was talking. If you got a question, go ahead and post it again. If I didn't see it, now I'm in a strip where it's not raining and I don't have any slow drivers in front of me, so I can catch a question if you go ahead and post it. But we're talking about leadership and instincts. Trusting your instincts and being a leader, your ultimate goal is to release all the power so that you got some other people that are doing their thing. You got a team of lieutenants. You got a team of lieutenants who know exactly what it is. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Somebody said, babe, you cute. You know, my mom always told me that every single day, even when I used to look like Steve Urkel wearing glasses. So I'm going to call her tonight and tell her that you said that. So I'm going to say, Mama, you was right. Your prophecy came true. But anyway, we talking about leadership. We're talking about trusting your instincts, ladies and gentlemen. You had to be willing to trust your instincts at all times. And another thing that you have to understand about leadership, if you don't learn to let go, what if people don't listen to you? That means you don't have influence. It means you need to increase your influence, increase your personal power. Personal power. Person who can help you with that, read a book called Awaken the Giant Within by a man that goes by the name of Tony Robbins. Or it might be Anthony Robbins. When he wrote that book, he might have still been going by Anthony. But look up that book. Awaken the Giant Within. You need to increase your power as an individual. Also, the book called The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. How can I be a better leader on the basketball court? Well, the thing like sports is you can't lead by talking. I mean, your performance has to speak for itself. Number one thing is that if you are not performing every day and setting the standard for everyone else, then nobody's going to follow your lead. So you must set the standard with your performance first. Once you start setting the standard with your performance, what you'll notice is that everybody's looking at you. When there's a decision to be made and people are trying to figure out, should we listen to what the coach just said? Should we work hard today in practice? And everybody's looking at you to see what's going to happen. That's when you know you've established yourself as a leader. And then you can start to exert yourself verbally, not just physically. Can making leadership mistakes be a way of becoming a better leader? Yeah, of course. Making mistakes in anything will make you better. The only way you get good enough to have wisdom and knowledge that you can share with other people, like I'm sharing it with you now, is to make mistakes. What if people are mad at you for making lots of decisions? Well, they're just going to have to get mad. Listen, leadership does not mean best friend. All right, leadership does not mean that you're friends with everybody. It does not mean that everyone's going to agree with you. It doesn't mean that everybody's going to like you all the time. It actually means there will always be somebody who doesn't agree with you. When you're making tough decisions, there will always be someone who does not agree. There will always be someone who does not like what you did. There always might be somebody who's a little bit annoyed or pissed off at you. Maybe some people that you'll have to eventually remove because they're being cancerous to your organization, to your team, to your business, whatever it is you got going on. Leadership does not mean you're friendly with everybody. It doesn't mean everybody knows you well enough to get familiar. It means you're a leader. And understand that leadership can be lonely, ladies and gentlemen. There'll be times when you are isolated as a leader. It's actually, that's going to be one of the things I'm talking about in my upcoming TED Talk, February 5th, TEDx Coconut Grove in Miami, Coconut Grove, Miami, those of you familiar with South Florida. That's one of the topics I'm going to be talking about in my talk, talking about leadership, being isolated, knowing that not everybody's always going to agree with you, see eye to eye with you, want to do the same things that you're doing. Understand that that's part of the job. That's part of the business of leadership. Anybody else got a leadership question, you can go ahead and ask it, or a question on instincts. In life, in leadership, know that you have to, you ever heard the phrase, take the lead? Leadership is something that's taken. It's not something that's usually handed out. Somebody hands you leadership and you don't start to take it, start to own it, it'll be taken away from you. How do you gain the mental strength from being a leader? By doing it. By doing it. You gain the mental strength for doing something by actually doing it. You don't gain the mental strength by thinking about it. You gain the mental strength from doing it in action. If you haven't done it, you won't have the mental strength. You'll never have it until you do it. That's why I was just saying, as you posted that question, leadership is taken. Leadership is not something that's handed to you. If someone hands you a leadership position and you're not ready for it, and you don't step into that role and assume the position, that leadership role will be taken from you as soon as possible. You won't have that role for long, trust me. You must take that role. Once it's given to you, if it's handed to you, you better be ready for it. Because if you're not, that crown will be toppled from your head. That was something that was talked about in, I believe that was also the 33 Strategies of War. Actually, it was the 48 Laws of Power by the same guy, Robert Greene. That's Greene with an E on the end. 48 Laws of Power. That's my favorite book of all time. He's talking about leadership. That was, I believe, chapter affected them. That can happen to people when they get handed a title or a position that they did not earn. That's what happens in leadership. You must earn your position, and everybody knows whether you earned your leadership. It's see-through. Now, when you're a leader and everybody's looking at you, it's like you're standing in front of a room naked. All right, you can't hide. Any weaknesses that you have will be out in the open very, very soon, and everybody's going to see them. You cannot hide when you're a leader. Any weaknesses you have will be exploited. It will be there'll be front page news to everybody on your team if you have a weakness as a leader, any personal weaknesses you have. And your strengths will be accentuated when you're a leader. Whatever you're good at, you'll see it. It'll reverberate throughout your whole team, throughout your whole organization, throughout your whole business. When you're a strong leader, anything that you're strong at personally. But anything you're weak at will be pointed out too. And we know that the natural nature of human beings is to doubt things. So the negative parts, the things that you're missing, will show up very easily. Like my boss, he is not a leader, I didn't catch everything you said. Now when I'm driving, y'all gotta watch while I put in a long comment, because I'm not gonna be able to look at the screen long enough to read it. The shorter the comment that gets all the information in, of course, the better. I didn't catch that whole thing, but I understand, I get the gist of what you're saying. You're talking about someone you work for who's not a strong leader. And that happens because people can be handed titles, like in corporate America or in the basic workforce as we know it, someone can be handed a title of leader, like a boss or a supervisor, just because they've been there for a long time. Well, I appreciate that. Whoever said that, I'm your role model. Just because they've been there for a long time. If you go work at Pizza Hut, when I got my first job at Pizza Hut, the boss, he wasn't a strong leader, but he just been working there longer than everybody else. So he was the boss. He was the manager. And that's pretty much the way that I thought life was until I got older and I started reading books and getting a real life education, not a school education, but a real life education from books and from talking to people who had actually lived things and listening to those people, learning from those people. I learned that leadership has nothing to do with the title, it has nothing to do with your pay rate, it has nothing to do with a pin on your chest. It has everything to do with what you've actually done, your performance in life, and the way that the people who you're supposed to be leading look at you. Because if they don't respect you, you're not a leader, even though you have the title. And here's another thing you need to understand about leadership. Another thing you need to understand about leadership, this is really important. If you don't remember anything that I just said, remember this. If you have to tell people, what the hell are you doing? Miami drivers is crazy, and I'm the one doing a live stream on Periscope. Look, if you have to tell people as a leader that you are a leader, then you're not a leader. If you have to announce that you're a leader, you're not. If you have to write it down or tell somebody, hey, I'm a leader here, you're not a leader. That's a very important point. I was watching this TV show called Game of Thrones. Any of y'all see Game of Thrones? If you've never seen it, you don't even have to see it. Understand this. There was this kid, he became king. He was the king of the kingdom or whatever. And they were having a meeting. He was having a meeting with his board members or whatever. And there were people there who had been leaders long before he had been a leader. But for whatever reason, he was the king. He had become the king because his dad was the king and his dad died or whatever. So he's the king. And anyway, they're having a meeting and the king wanted things to go one way, but all the people in his council, somebody in his council disagreed. They wanted to do things a different way. And somebody in the council, and then the king was getting mad. He was getting mad because nobody was listening to him. And he stood up and started yelling. He said, y'all got to listen to me because I am the king. And his dad was actually one of the people in his advisory council. And his dad, not his dad, but his grandfather. His grandfather said, any king who has to announce, I am the king, is no true king. And that's what y'all have to understand. It's kind of like, any of y'all ever heard of Margaret Thatcher? I don't know if we got anybody from England that's watching this right now, but Margaret Thatcher once made the statement, being a leader is like being a woman. If you have to announce that you are, you aren't. So think of it like that. Think of leadership like being a woman. If you have to walk into a room and announce that you're a woman, you're not a woman. If you have to announce that you're a man, you're not a man. If you have to announce that you're the king, you ain't the king. And if you have to announce you're a leader, you are not a leader. Y'all always drive safe. Y'all can see is the other drivers who have no distractions, who don't even know what they're doing. But anyway, that's probably because I got my driver's license in Pennsylvania, not in Florida. Shout out to Pennsylvania. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's the leadership discussion that I have for y'all tonight. If any of y'all got a question about leadership, I'll go ahead and take your question now. I'm actually at a red light. So anybody got a question for me about leadership instincts, we talking about that right now. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is DreAllDay. I am an author. I've written 5 books. You can read them at DreAllDay.com/Amazon. You can actually get my first book for free. It's called Buy a Game. Click the link in my Periscope bio, and that'll take you right to where you can get my book completely for free. It costs you nothing at all but your time and an email address. That's all it's going to cost you to get that book. Leadership is a good at all times. The concept of leadership, listen, there's always a leader. Every organization has a leader. And they can either be a good leader or a bad leader. So it's not necessarily that leadership is good. Leadership is just what it is. It's not a good or bad thing. Leadership is leadership, but human beings are social creatures, so we will always follow people. Is it okay to have multiple leaders on a team or group? Yeah, you want to cultivate multiple leaders, but in the end, when a decision has to be made, somebody has to make it. Not a committee, but one person. Mentalities like Kobe Bryant's in a good way. Well, thank you. In a group, let's say you have multiple leaders. You can have multiple leaders in a group, but when it's time for a decision to be made, one person has to make a decision. Committees don't make decisions. Now, there might be a committee and they say, well, the committee met and we came up with this decision. That's not really what happened. The committee met and the real leader made the decision and everybody else disagreed with it. Committees don't make decisions. It's something that I tweeted a couple days ago. You never seen a statue for a committee. Have you ever seen a statue raised to a committee? You ever seen a monument say, hey, look at this committee and all the great decisions they made? No. Statues and monuments go up to one person, right? George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Barack Obama, George Bush, Bill Clinton, Ronald Reagan. Committees don't get statues. All right, we don't name schools after committees. All right, any of you ever go to a school named after a group of people? No, schools is named after what? One person. Am I a leader? You tell me. You tell me if I'm a leader. Look up the definition of leader and then you tell me next time you get on the stream what you think. I think I heard George Washington say a leader is a person who inspires and motivates and empowers other people to do better and be better in their own lives. So if you think I do that, then I guess you could say, yeah, but it's up to you. It's not for me to say. And like I just said 5 minutes ago, if somebody has to say they're a leader, they're not a leader. I think you're trying to trick me. I think you're trying to trap me with that question. That's an entrapment question, but you got to try harder. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Chiefy Boss. So, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, if If you're leaders in a group, could you make a decision one time and you make one the next time? You mean like taking turns making decisions? You could do that, but ultimately one person has to make a decision. Because see, this is what happens. The person who's the real leader will empower the other person to make a decision that time. Like, yo, I'm gonna let you make the decision this time. They're not gonna come. They don't have to actually come out and say that. You understand what I'm saying? But they will empower. They'll say, because listen, if you're sitting in a group of people, let's say you're sitting at a table with 8 people, and somebody asks, well, what's the decision we should make on this? You know who the leader is, because everybody at the table is gonna look at the person who's the leader and wait for them to speak. And then that person can say, well, you know, person B, what do you think? And they can empower them to make the decision. But everybody's gonna look at who the leader is. And if human beings are animals, remember that. And so if any of you have dogs, think of your dog. When you see a dog and a situation happens where the dog is alert for whatever reason, the dog's trying to decide what to do next, the dog will always look to whoever the leader is. So if the leader is the person that's walking them, they'll look at that person. If that person's walking them, not leading, the dog will just go do their thing and the person will have to chase after them. Because dogs are pack animals. So anytime you have a dog and any other living thing, it could be another dog, it could be another human, the dog must form, there must be a leader in that group. And even if it's only 2 people, someone must lead. Someone must lead. So if you have a dog and you don't lead your dog is going to lead you. And here's the way you know. Next time you see somebody walking a dog, ask yourself, who's walking who? Is the dog walking the person, or is the person walking the dog? Because the person who's in front, whoever's in front, is the one that's leading. If you walk a dog and the dog is in front of you, the dog, in the dog's mind, the dog is leading you. You might think you're in control because you got the leash and you're stronger and bigger, but if the dog is in the front, the dog's walking you. You're not walking the dog. And dogs are pack animals. They look at things very simply. They don't rationalize. They don't explain things. They don't reason. It's whoever's in front is the leader. So look, next time you see somebody walking a dog, ask yourself that question. Is that dog walking the person, or is that person walking the dog? Because dogs can't read. All right, dogs can't talk. So all they can go off of is their instincts. Who's in the front? The person in the front is the person that's leading. I appreciate all those hearts, whoever that is. Ladies and gentlemen, we wrapping this one up for the night. My name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as DreAllDay. If you're watching me for the first time, swipe to the right. Share this on your Periscope feed with everybody you know. Share it on Twitter when this is over. And make sure you are following me, DreAllDay, because I do these streams every single day. I talk about a lot of topics. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I talk about a lot of topics. I talk about confidence, belief, success. I talk about sales, business, branding, marketing, social media. I talk about leadership. I talk about instincts. I talk about a lot of mental stuff, mental game stuff. Because having your mental game in order applies to every business, any sport you could possibly play. It is all tied to the mental. Because if your mental's not in order, you can have all the game in the world and you're not going to get the results. And that's the same thing in business. It's the same thing with getting girls. It's the same thing with getting guys. All of it is tied into the way that you see the world mentally and the way that you see yourself mentally. So if you want to learn more about that, just make sure you follow me here, because you're going to learn a lot. And I'm going to put it all out there. All I ask for you is your time and attention. Work on your game. DreAllDay.com. Y'all know I wrote a book, right? It's called Buy Again.